Right now with Brian Bentley, author of One Time, the story of a South Central Los Angeles police officer. Brian, you've been on CNN now. You've been on NBC. This situation with Christopher Dorner is garnering international attention, something that you wanted to see happen in 1997 when you first wrote the book. What are your thoughts now, and what do you plan or hope to see accomplished with the sadness but the reality of this situation?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I think it was horrible what he did. I don't think Christopher Dorner was a hero at all, and I wish it hadn't happened. But I also will say that if it was his rampage is what brought this attention on, and with that, it is worldwide. I've done interviews for Canadian newspapers and Germany, in Germany, and also in the UK. So the whole world is watching, and I think that puts pressure on the LAPD to do something for real. Mm-hmm. The ball's in their court, and they have to step up and do something because the whole world is watching, and it's really a shame that this is what it takes. And years ago, I had met with a couple of officers who were terminated, and we all had a discussion, and we were wondering how can we get the word out. And it was a very sad conversation, and basically we came up with the conclusion that it would take something like this just to get attention, because no one really cared and no one really paid attention to how officers are treated, and actually the change has to come within the department.
And it's really sad here in LA because, we have a lot of violence on our streets as it is. And so now we have and are hearing about and things that we've already known as it relates to the LA PD. But what's the community's responsibility? Because we're very quick to show up after the fact. We're very quick, and it's needed to show up for the candlelight vigils. But what is the constituent, the community person living in their neighborhoods, what is their role in all of this?
Well, that's a tough question. I know since I left the LAPD, I spent a lot of time with kids at risk. I coach, I mentor, I counsel kids. So it's really hard to put a finger on what really works and what doesn't. People just have to get out there and try to make a difference, try to talk to the young people and be involved and be positive role models. We don't have that many role models. Actually, we do, but the ones who are negative are the ones who get the most exposure.
True.
So we have to continue to try.
Mm-hmm. And how important, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, would you say it's important for individuals in their community to attend their neighborhood meetings, their local council member meetings, the LAPD Police Commission meetings? How important does that play in the big picture?
Oh, it's very, very important. You have to get out there because they'll feed you anything. And a lot of the times in these block club meetings, these community meetings, you'll have people who will come and they don't live in your area. So therefore, they really don't know the problems. And, it's very difficult for them to empathize with what we go through. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be there to express your views and let them know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And for instance, I was at my block club meeting not too long ago, and one of the senior lead officers said, don't put bars on your windows. He goes, I don't have any bars on my windows at home. I don't see why you guys have bars on your window. And I asked him where he lived, and of course he lived somewhere in the Inland Empire. Mm-hmm. So he couldn't empathize with what we were going through. So it's very important to be there and to communicate your needs and what you want.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you've experienced as a member of the LAPD. You worked with Mark Fuhrman.
Right. When I was
during the OJ case.
Well, actually, I worked with Mark Fuhrman, but I worked with Mark Fuhrman when I was a rookie. Mm-hmm. Actually, the first homicide I went to, he handled the case, and it was in West LA, and there was a woman who was killed in a trailer, a little mobile trailer. Mm-hmm. And so when I got there, he looked at me and he said, he looked at my training officer and said, "Hey, I need to borrow your rookie. They call them boots at the time. I need to borrow your boot. So they put me in the trailer and said, hey, if this lady moves, I want you to shoot her. Watch her, make sure she doesn't move. Of course, this is a dead body. So then they close the door and they go outside and they look at their watch and they make bets to see how long I would stay, how long it would be before I threw up or passed out. So that's my Mark Fuhrman story at that time. And then later on, I met him when I was.
What was going through your mind in that trailer? Did you know what they were doing? Or what?
Oh, yeah, I knew what they were doing. They were laughing. They had cups of coffee, and they were drinking, eating donuts, and looking through the window, looking at their watch, play some money down to see how long it would last.
And what was going through your mind at that time?
I was making a mental list, my own little manifesto right there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so.
Okay. And so then what happened after the trailer situation?
Well, after the trailer, one important thing about being a police officer, it's important that we have a lot of black police officers because you need mentors. You need people to give you the heads up on what to do and what not to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how Dorner, if he had that type of support, because I was told from the get-go, hey, don't worry about Mark Fuhrman. He's a butthole. He doesn't like black people. You got to watch out for him. And all through my career, you had officers who would give you the heads up on who you're about to partner with, what you should do and who you should avoid. And actually, now I think about it, a lot of the white officers did the same thing. I had friends on the department, a lot of white partners that I worked with over the years that were close friends. And they would tell me, hey, you're about to work with so-and-so. He often calls black people by the N-word. And just watch your back when you're with him. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay, and so tell us a little bit about your experience. I don't know why, but OJ is still a phenomenon. Right. Everybody wants to know. So you were actually a part of the whole investigation.
Well, during the civil case, I was posted at his front door. I mean, literally at his front door. I was guarding his front door. Met his kids, met him. And he would come out every hour. You could look at your watch. He would come out every hour. Walk up and down the street, shake hands with people, sign autographs, take pictures. It was crazy. It was crazy.
So after all is said and done, what are your thoughts? Guilty, not guilty?
Well, I talk to my friends all the time about whether he's guilty or not, and people really have strong feelings towards that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say.
You're going to keep that to yourself. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about your experience, the civil unrest. Tell us where you were when that first happened.
Well, that's interesting. Police officers call it a riot. Citizens call it an unrest.
And we're talking about the 1992.
Right, we're talking about 1992 riots. Mm-hmm. I was right in the middle of it. I was at Southwest. I responded to Florence and Normandy. At the time that it occurred, I was on vacation, and I was at home watching on television, and my phone rang, and they told me to come to the station right away. And as I drove to the station, I was driving through all the mess, the fires and shots being fired, and it was just horrible. It was just, it was just, I can't even describe it even to this day. My heart was in my throat. It was just very, it was just a weird feeling. It was crazy.
What was the response from the community as they saw you in a uniform as an LAPD? What was the response from the people?
Well, when you're in uniform, you're a police officer. It doesn't matter if you're black, Mexican. You're wearing that blue uniform, and that's what they see. People were calling me Uncle Tom, sellouts. And they didn't know what I was going through on the department. They didn't know the trials and tribulations that I went through, how I was harassed. They just see the blue uniform, and they automatically think that you're a sellout and Uncle Tom. So people were yelling, giving me the finger, throwing bottles at me, spitting, all that kind of stuff. And, that was another thing, too, that, really that I took to heart.
Mm-hmm. And then you're still going through racial discrimination as an officer amongst your peers, and then to go on the streets and then not be accepted by your community. That's deep.
It's deep. In fact, as a police officer, as a black police officer, I often felt like I just didn't belong anywhere. Mm-hmm. I didn't belong to the community, and I didn't belong on the police department because they saw that I lived in a neighborhood and that I was black, so they automatically assumed that I was a criminal and that I would side with the criminals. Had issues at home because nobody wanted to hear my police stories. So I couldn't talk to anybody, so.
And so how has your family taken to all of this? Are they like, tell your story, or are they like, just let it go?
Oh, they're like, let it go. Let it go. They don't want to be involved. They fear for my safety. They prefer I just let it go.
Do you feel fear for your safety?
No, I don't. I know how LAPD works. I know that over the years, I've been doing this for a long time. So over the years, I expect them to come on your show or any other show that I'm on, and they'll have other black officers on there who will tell you that they've never experienced racism, that the police department is the best thing that ever happened to them. And it may be true, but that's what they do every time I'm on a show.
Now, how do you feel when the LAPD says that you were fired, so you're just being disgruntled?
Well, that's a claim they always try to throw out there. However, I was fired because I wrote a book. Okay. Before that,
Is that the reason why they said they fired you?
That was the reason I was investigated. Once the police department opens the door for an investigation, they look at everything.
Okay.
So my investigation started because of the book. Before that, I was loved. There was nothing you could complain about. I was one of the boys. I did what I was supposed to do. I was a very aggressive, very violent, short-tempered police officer, and I was that way with the citizens and also towards my fellow police officers. I was just on a short fuse. And ironically, they loved that.